saddle while waiting for Alec to wake. Any other time of year, Ollie would have walked to the beach. It wasn't that far. The new lodge was nestled in a clearing in a well-treed valley so that it would be sheltered from the cold winter winds off the ocean. It made it a fair walk to the beach, but not far enough to necessitate riding a horse there, unless one found themselves exhausted at the very thought of traipsing that distance, lugging his net and fishing gear along with him, as he did now. It was a quick jaunt by horseback, and Ollie and Alec were soon in the small boat he kept on the beach and rowing away from shore. "How far out are we going?" Alec asked after a few minutes. "Not far," Ollie responded patiently. Alec was silent for barely the count of 10 before asking, "Are we nearly there?" Ollie rolled his eyes, but then stopped rowing and raised his oars as he spotted something in the distance. Gaze narrowing, he peered past his brother's shoulder, trying to identify what he was seeing. "What?" Alec asked, noting where his attention had gone and glancing over his shoulder to the water beyond the bow of the small craft. "There's something floating in the water." "Aye." Ollie started to row again. He couldn't tell what they were looking at. It was large. At least part of it was. Part of it was narrow, too. "What is it?" Alec asked, turning right around on his bench seat now, to face forward and better see what lay ahead. "I'm no sure," Ollie admitted. They both squinted into the distance as the boat moved through the water. And then Alec said, "I think 'tis a ship's mast." Ollie grunted, able now to see for himself that the large thing sticking out of the water was part of a crow's nest. It was on its side, with one half of it submerged and the other half above water. They both fell silent as he propelled them toward it, and then Alec said, "I think there's a body laying across the far end. A woman." "A woman?" Ollie asked dubiously and hoped it wasn't. Whatever lay ahead wasn't moving or crying out for help. Finding the bloated body of a dead woman floating in the water wasn't like to improve his mood any. "I think I see bosoms," Alec explained. "Of course you do. Only you could make out bosoms from 100 feet away," Ollie said acerbically. But as he rowed the boat closer, he could see what his brother was talking about. In the centre, at the far end of the mast, there did appear to be what could be bosoms pointing skyward. "It is a woman," Alec said with certainty. Ollie didn't comment. His attention was on the cloth of the sails he could see lying across the mast and floating in the water around it as they moved past the crow's nest. He shifted direction a bit to avoid getting caught up in it. "A ship must have sunk," Alec said in a hushed voice as he moved forward in the small boat to get a better view. But what?" Ollie asked, putting more effort into the oars. Alec leaned over the bow, hanging far enough forward in an attempt to see that Ollie worried he'd fall out. Finally, Alec said, "She's tied to the mast. Why the devil would they tie her to the mast? Row faster, Ollie." "I am rowing as fast as I can," Ollie grunted, but dipped only one oar in the water this time to turn the boat slightly so he could get a better look at the angle of their approach and see how far they now were from the dead woman. He had no desire to ram into her. "Was it to keep her from falling overboard in the storm, do you think?" Alec asked. Ollie was able to see the woman strapped to the far end of the mast now. He quickly scanned the surrounding water, but didn't see anything else floating nearby. "It must have gone down in last night's storm," Alec commented. Ollie nodded silently. The storm had started just after they'd arrived at the lodge. The wind had battered and torn at the log building so violently he'd worried about losing the roof. That hadn't happened, but the storm had raged furiously for hours.